We have news coming in to us that the last remaining American-Israeli hostage, Edan Alexander, has in fact been released from Hamas custody and is en route to Israeli territory. He is currently in the custody of the Red Cross. Edan was the last remaining American-Israeli hostage in Hamas custody. The announcement of his impending transfer was first made earlier by Hamas and then confirmed by the U.S. President Donald Trump. As I mentioned earlier, the 21-year-old was doing his military service over in Israel when he was taken from an outpost near the Gaza border during the October 7th attacks. For more on this story, we can go across to our correspondent, Noga Tarnopolsky, standing by. Noga, what is the latest you're hearing?
Well, the latest, really just moments ago, the Israeli armed forces received confirmation from the Red Cross that Edan Alexander, an IDF soldier who's been held by Hamas for 584 days, has in fact been released to their custody. He should be delivered to Israeli army officials within minutes now, and within 5 minutes or so, to vehicles still within the Gaza Strip, but of the Israeli army, and that'll be the first time he's in Israeli custody. From there, it'll take probably 15 minutes or so for him to be driven to the border. Then he will undergo the first medical examination since he was taken captive.
Noga, it seems that Edan's Hamas had agreed to release Edan a couple of months ago. Why has it taken so long to secure this release, which we're seeing right now?
Well, it's going to take longer to release the other hostages, those who don't have U.S. citizenship, or some 4 who have U.S. citizenship but are dead. What we're hearing is that the United States had come to a very similar arrangement with Hamas, basically free the American one. About 2 months ago, and that the Israeli government insisted that there could be, and I quote, no selection, no differentiation made between Israeli army soldiers, one who has U.S. citizenship and the others who do not, Israeli citizens who have no other passports and those few who do. And so apparently the American government at that point decided to take a step back and respect Israeli wishes. Clearly, this week, ahead of Donald Trump's arrival to Saudi Arabia, his first Middle East tour as president, they decided that those niceties didn't matter anymore. They went ahead in direct talks with this terror group that had attacked its close ally, Israel, and came to a separate deal, releasing this soldier who has U.S. citizenship.
Yes, because the U.S. doesn't typically negotiate with terrorist groups or groups it does prescribe terrorists. But earlier today, we had the U.S. president Donald Trump, who gave a press conference from the White House where he touched on a whole range of issues. And then he touted the role Steve Witkoff has been playing, someone who's been pretty essential and pivotal in reaching the first phase of a ceasefire agreement back in January.
That's right. Steve Witkoff, who is, it seems to be today, Donald Trump's envoy for everything or all conflicts. And I'd like to highlight also the work of Adam Boehler, who is the hostage envoy. 2 months ago, when it first became public that the United States had engaged in direct talks with Hamas, the Israeli government, as I said to you, oppose this absolutely vigorously. And not only that, but Israeli officials were very boastful in the next day or so after the news came out, saying that basically Adam Boehler had been demoted and it was because of the Israeli anger, and he had been put in his place and found out you can't just negotiate with Hamas and so forth. Jump 2 months ahead. Donald Trump is arriving in the Middle East. He's skipping over Israel. And Adam Boehler is the man who accompanied the mother of this soldier, Edan Alexander, on her El Al flight from the United States to Israel. He's the one who took the microphone and announced to all of the passengers on this flight that the United States, quote, is coming for all of them, that the United States would take care of what Israel apparently is failing to do, which is to secure the freedom of its own citizens. So this is quite a comeback for him, certainly in the eyes of the Israeli public that is closely observing these matters.
And Noga, while you were speaking, Hamas has put out a statement urging the Trump administration to pursue efforts to end the war in Gaza. I mean, the timing of Edan Alexander's release is stark, isn't it? It comes on the eve of Donald Trump taking what he is calling a historic visit to the Middle East, where he's going to Saudi Arabia, he's going to Qatar, a country that has been mediating those ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas, and he's also going to the United Arab Emirates, but he's not stopping in Israel, and Hamas, of course, wants something done about the Israeli blockade that continues on aid entering the Gaza Strip.
That's right. It's very, very murky, I have to say. This morning, many journalists, myself included, fell into a bit of a trap laid for us by Hamas that released images that appeared to show aid trucks bringing humanitarian aid desperately needed into Gaza. In fact, those were images taken a while back, weeks ago, and we were, Hamas is trying to play to its own public that it succeeded in bringing humanitarian aid into Gaza. That, in fact, is not yet true, and it's unclear what the United States plans to do about it, because the mechanism announced recently by the United States, by the new ambassador Huckabee, is basically the repetition of an Israeli pipe dream in which American contractors would take over the role of administering the Gaza Strip, or at least administering humanitarian aid distribution. But there's no system in place for that. There are no negotiations, there are no talks between Israel and the United States, and there's no contractors that have, filed for tenders to do the job. So right now it is extremely unclear, and Israel is maintaining its blockade over the Gaza Strip. I do want to say, by the way, that given all of the rumors going around and given the sort of reports that we are making, the U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee, just now, as I'm speaking to you, put out a statement saying, forget all the rumors. Israel and the United States are just one, he said, one head working together. So there are efforts to kind of tamper down what seems, in effect, to be a very, very bumpy and contentious situation right now between Washington and Jerusalem.
And Noga, I'm just curious. I mean, Edan Alexander is being released, as we've been saying. He's the last American citizen in Hamas custody. But what about the other hostage families who continue to pressure the Israeli government to secure the release of their loved ones? Are they just not being heard?
They're not being heard by their own government, that is for sure. And they put out a series of really heartbreaking declarations today, one after the other. Einav Tsangauker, the mother of Matan Tsangauker, a young civilian who was taken from a music party hostage and who's very sick, and who was held in tunnels 40 meters underground with Edan Alexander. That much is known. She put out a statement, a video statement herself. She said that Prime Minister Netanyahu is the angel of death for her son. Similarly, the parents of another Israeli soldier, Nimrod Tamir, said, that he's a patriotic Israeli, that he went willingly when drafted to the army, born in Israel, has only an Israeli passport. Other families have also come out and said, the Cohen family, for example, also the parents of Nimrod Cohen, have said, we never sought foreign passports. We thought we had a state to protect us. And as we speak, I have to say also, there are thousands of people, maybe you're showing these images, in Hostages Square in Tel Aviv, waiting to see the first pictures of Edan Alexander, who the Israeli government seems more or less to be ignoring. He's an Israeli soldier. He was taken as an Israeli soldier, and yet the Israeli government hasn't made a single public statement. No spokesperson for the government, and certainly the Prime Minister, have not had a word to say yet about this American-born arrangement that has secured his freedom. I will add that both Adam Bowler and Steve Witkoff are at the border between Israel and Gaza, standing there with Yael Alexander, Edan Alexander's mom, and they are waiting to see the IDF jeeps bring him across the border.
Okay, we're still waiting, Noga, for confirmation from Israel that it does, in fact, have Edan Alexander in its custody. This, of course, Hamas says they have released Edan Alexander. Noga, stay with us. We'll be coming back to you in just a few minutes' time. In other